Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Alf Radagast playing the Tier 6 Tech Tree German battleship Bayern. Now, Bayern, as far as Tech Tree Tier 6 battleships go, pretty decent. Um, I'll give you the rundown on how the Bayern stacks up in a couple of different ways. This obviously is a ranked match, and, and Alf has a pretty good game here. But I want to give you some information about Bayern and offer some comparison to some other ships. Okay, so first we'll just kind of compare the ship to other German battleships, both premium and tech tree. The German battleships are known for good armor, mostly, and good secondaries, mostly, but not very good dispersion or sigma. And there are some exceptions to that. For example, the Odin, which has, at least in my opinion, kind of squishy armor for a German battleship, has a sigma of 2.0, and so does the Scharnhorst 43 and the Scharnhorst B and the Scharnhorst, and also the Prince Eitel Friedrich at Tier 6, which is pretty good. And if you're not familiar with sigma, you can see the dispersion value that is offered in game, and that's usually going to be horizontal dispersion, meaning as you're looking at the ship from your position, the left to right distance that your shells could possibly land. And there's also a vertical dispersion and a sigma. Now, the horizontal dispersion and the vertical dispersion, if you're looking at it from straight down on the target, is the distance that when looked at from your perspective in your ship at the target are the left to right values and the forward and to the other side of the target ship distance. So you've got the horizontal dispersion on the Bayern of 180 meters and the vertical dispersion of -4. Now in the game you're going to see 180 meters. And then you've got a sigma on the Bayern of 1.8, which really is, while not good, it's not terrible. You know, as I mentioned, you've got a few that are at 2.0, and then, you know, from there you've got Bismarck, Gneisenau, Bayern, König, Tirpitz, and Brandenburg, both B and Standard Brandenburg, and Tirpitz that are all at the 1.8 sigma. Then it drops to 1.7 for Zeiten, Onhout, then 1.6 for Mackinson, Dörflinger, and then 1.5 for Prince Heinrich and the AL Prince Heinrich. Now, why tell you all of that? Well, because in a ranked match on this kind of map with these, not capture points, but basically bonus areas for your ships, you're often going to be getting in close, and that can work reasonably well for a ship like the Bayern. And you can see taking a little bit of damage there now. The red team has Graf Spee, which is a really pretty decent cruiser if it's played well. Give you some information on these shells. Now you can see that Alpha is using the AP shells, and on the Bayern, the AP shells have a pen value, so they can pen 362 millimeters. They've got an Obermatch of 26 millimeters, which is going to fare pretty well at Tier 6, and all of your opponents are going to be Tier 6 in this ranked match. They've got a ricochet angle of 45 to 60, 63-degree threshold for arming the AP shells, and a fuse time of 0.033 seconds. So all of that essentially means this is really nice AP, and they can do max damage of 10,900 per shell. And right there you've got a broadside Ismail. When Ismail is a very good battleship. Very good battleship. HE shells, while you won't often, at least in my experience and opinion, see someone using HE a lot in a Bayern, if there's, say, an angled By angled, if you're newer to the game, what I mean, if there's a battleship that's kind of got nose to you, like Alpha is right now to that Ismail, you'll see sometimes the Bayern use AG because your focus there is to hit the top of the ship, the superstructure, etc., in order to start fires. But you can see that Ismail is kind of sitting, well, at not a great angle, but still you can get penetrations. That Ismail's at 42 degrees, and the farther that Alf moves to this side of the map, the better that angle gets. Alf is trying to bring all his guns right. You can see Ismail's got his guns pointed somewhere else. Alf doesn't really have much choice here but to turn back this way a little. And the secondaries go to work at, what was it, 7.3, 7.2 kilometers. And Ismail's still at a decent angle. Alf is aiming. You can see where Alf is aiming. It's not right at the waterline, a little bit higher. He's trying to avoid the torpedo belt armor, and he does get a great shot to pick up a citadel. And the secondaries continue to do their work. Now the secondaries, well, they're never going to, land a big shot, but they are more or less constant. So let me give you the breakdown of the secondaries on Bayern. You've got 10 150 millimeter guns and 12 105 millimeter guns. And Bayern finishes off Ismail. Secondary DPM is 190, well, basically 192,000 HP of damage. In terms of how much you can expect to hit, the DPM is a little over 28,000. And Alpha is staying focused on the target and trying to avoid the torpedoes. It looks like he might hit at least one here, but picks up a double citadel on the Trento in exchange for eating a couple of torpedoes. So right now, we're 6 minutes, 45 seconds in, and Alpha's picked up the kill and 72,000 damage on 24 shell hits and 4 citadels. He's having a pretty strong game, but his team not so much. His team's down 4 ships, and the red team is only down 3. And that's where we're going to get into taking a look at how the Bayern fares against other Tier 6 ships. While we're watching Alf try to escape fires and floods, and this sub that is literally right behind him, he works to get some depth charges in the water, and you can see the guns, the rotation of the guns, not great. Here come more torpedoes. Now, one thing about the Bayern, like a lot of Tier 6 battlefields, is it is reasonably maneuverable, and so he's able to avoid the torpedoes, gets more depth charges in the water. He's gone back toward the sub and the T-61, finishes off the sub, and is full broadside to the T-61 right now. And he just has to hope that the T-61 hasn't already got torpedoes away. But he's angling accordingly. He's taking some shots from Grouch Bay, and the Grouch Bay guns are no joke. And just like that, Alf has kill number 3 as he finishes off the T-61. Now, both teams now down to 2 ships. Alf's back is probably really hurting. Alright, so I said I was going to compare the Bayern to some of these other ships in other lines. So let's take a look at the main battery. There are ships with more accuracy. ISA, Prince Idle Friedrich, which we talked about, Repulse, both versions, Repulse and Repulse B, the Queen Elizabeth, Warspite. That's really at Tier 6, that's it. And some of those are premiums, right? Those all have a sigma of 2.0, and then you get the Bayern at 1.8. So for myself, Bayern is, I think, a really good pick in a tier 6 ranked match. Now, of course, that's open for debate, but the reason that I feel like it's a pretty good pick is, as I mentioned early on, you can see that we're in this big cap circle here, but a lot of that is going to be within secondary range. So Hydro by Grafspee now gets a plane in the air. He's going to try and spot Grafspee. Now he knows where Grafspee. Now Grafspee, you have to be aware Grafspee has torpedoes, and those torpedoes, well, they can really pack a punch. So Alpha is wisely backing away. Now, what is he doing here? He's hoping, of course, that Grafspee is going to come through this gap. He's hoping that the Grafspee player, ICOP, is going to try and get torpedoes on him. He's just going to rush around the corner and get torpedoes on him. But what Alpha's doing is he's coming to a stop. He's getting himself ready to move forward so that he can accelerate away. But Grafspee, he was wise to that. He saw him because he's using the Hydro. And now Alpha really doesn't have much of a choice but to push forward where Repulse can get guns on him. So he's going to try and sit as close to the island as he can. But his buddy in the sub, he got a little too close, got himself detected, I guess, with that Hydro, and is airstruck with depth charges into oblivion. So at this point, Alf has a couple of choices he can make. He can sit back and wait and hope that the red team players make big mistakes, or he can move in. Now I think this was a feint, accelerated, and then threw the brakes on, putting in reverse, in an effort to try and tease out the torpedoes from Grafspee. And if the Repulse doesn't change his angle, he's going to still be sitting broadside. And the secondaries are going to be going to work here pretty soon. So now Alf has to wonder, is Grafspee coming around the corner? He did manage to tease out those torpedoes. And there aren't going to be any more from that side of the ship for a while. And that allows the opportunity to push forward if he wants to, but he's got to be really careful because at close range especially, those shells from the Grafspee, they are devastatingly powerful. Sticks with the AP. You can see the dispersion was not great there. Very little damage. And our hero is down to 19,000 HP. Repulse has got 5,000 more HP, and Grafspee is still looking pretty healthy. And it looks like Grafspee went around the island and is trying to come up behind him. So Alf is accelerating. He takes a shot and gets a fire on the superstructure, but now he's gone dark. Neither of the red ships can see him. The Hydro from the Grafspee has finally died down, and it looks like Alf is going to try and catch this Repulse. If Repulse just pushes ahead here back around the island, Alf might get both his secondaries and his big AP shells involved in sinking the Repulse. But he's got to count on the Repulse coming around and showing some side again. And he did, and he paid for it with a 14,000 plus Citadel shot over the corner of the island, and Repulse, I'm not sure he knows exactly what to do here. He's changing his angle. He's not going to be Citadeled again from here. Repulse may be thinking, oh, I'll just ram for the win. Because, of course, if Alf gets sunk, it's game over and the red team wins. Now takes a chance here on the slowish reload time of the repulse. Pushes forward and angles enough to get all four turrets able to put shots out. And now, with the secondaries clicking away on the Grafspee, Alf is going to have to take some chances. Showing a little bit of side. It's a shot off on Grafspee, trying to avoid torpedoes, of course, and you got to keep that in mind. You can see the torpedo indicator, and torpedoes are probably back up on this side of the ship. There's a nice shot, and the Grafspee is in trouble. Now, I don't know for sure that Alf is aiming at the main gun there, but I think that would be a good idea. Unless he's aiming a little under there. And what do you know? Kraken unleashed, right there. The total of 5 ships sunk. And take a look at that damage total in a ranked match. 182,000. Really strong game, Alf. That was fun to watch. Yeah, woo indeed. All right, so taking a look at the after game stats, you can see that Alf has 181,897 damage on 58 shell hits, 5 ships sunk, 118 secondary target hits. He landed depth charge, picked up a couple of buffs, got the Confederate, got the Dreadnought, got the Kraken, got the High Caliber. Really great awards. Top of the board at over 2,500 base XP, 2529 base XP in a ranked match. Really, really strong. Big damage on Repulse, Grafspee, Ishmael, Cachalot, T-61 a little bit, and Trento, the big doubled Citadel, right? There are the damage totals and how it kind of all spread out. You can see the secondaries did some work. 38,000 damage in the secondaries. And obviously had some nice bonuses set up and really raked it in. Great game, Alf. Those of you joining me, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.